What does it take to silence someone who knows too much? A threat? A government paycheck? Or could it be a visit from something not quite human? Well, in 1953, researcher Albert K. Bender claimed he had solved the flying saucer mystery. But just before he could publish his findings, he received a visit. Three figures in black suits communicating without making a sound. And they terrified him into abandoning his life's work overnight. And this is a true story that silenced the first great UFO whistleblower and created the chilling legend of the Men in Black. In the early 1950s, America was gripped by a flying saucer fever. In Bridgeport, Connecticut, a World War II Army Air Force veteran named Albert K. Bender wasn't just fascinated, he was obsessed. From the attic of his house, which he nicknamed the Chamber of Horrors for its horror movie decor, Bender founded the International Flying Saucer Bureau, or IFSB, in 1952. This was no small-town club. The IFSB quickly became one of the world's largest civilian UFO organizations, with hundreds of members across the globe. And its journal, Space Review, connected a whole community of investigators. And Bender was at the center of it all, collecting data, analyzing patterns, and getting close to something big. But as his research intensified, he began to feel as though he was being watched. And the pressure was building, and Bender was convinced he was on the verge of changing the world. And he had no idea he was about to attract the most terrifying kind of attention. The strangeness began with a nagging feeling of being watched and a series of unsettling phone calls. And soon the events became more direct. While at a movie theater, Bender claimed he was startled by a man whose eyes seemed to glow with an eerie light. He also started experiencing what he described as telepathic messages, warnings that weren't his own, pressing into his mind. This campaign of intimidation seemed to align with a wave of UFO sightings over southern Connecticut, making Bender feel he was at the center of the phenomenon he was studying. But the pressure didn't stop him, it spurred him on. And convinced he had finally pieced the puzzle together, Bender made a fateful announcement in his journal. He knew the truth about flying saucers that would reveal everything in the next issue. And he had promised a revelation, but he was about to receive one he never expected. One night in 1953 in his Chamber of Horrors, Bender was hit with a sudden, overwhelming dread. A strange sulfur-like odor filled the air and a yellowish mist began to form. And then he saw them. The three figures dressed in identical black suits and Homburg-style hats that shadowed their faces seemed to just appear. And Bender was frozen not just by fear, but by the incredible sense of authority they projected. And they didn't speak a word. The communication was entirely telepathic. And cold, clear thoughts flooded Bender's mind. And they confirmed his research was correct. He had discovered the truth. But this wasn't praise. It was a threat. They ordered him to shut down his organization and publish nothing. Bender later claimed they were aliens who floated instead of walked, and they did not want their secrets revealed. And the encounter left Bender physically ill for days with crushing headaches. And the once-driven researcher was now terrified. And the three men never laid a hand on him, but they had completely broken his spirit. And the promised revelation in Space Review was replaced by a final cryptic notice. The IFSB was being shut down. It included a stark warning. We advised those engaged in saucer work to be very cautious. Albert Bender had been silenced. Bender's abrupt silence created a void that was quickly filled by rumors. The story first went mainstream when a 1953 newspaper article reported that three men in dark suits from a higher authority had questioned him and ordered him to stop publishing. But it was Bender's associate, a writer named Gray Barker, who truly ignited the legend. In 1956, Barker published They Knew Too Much About Flying Saucers, coining the iconic phrase, the Men in Black. And his book turned Bender's personal trauma into a modern American myth. Bender finally broke his silence in 1962 with his own book, Flying Saucers and the Three Men, where he insisted his visitors were not government agents, but extraterrestrials. And his story cemented the two dominant MIB theories. Were they a government silence group enforcing secrecy, or something paranormal? And this opened the door to even stranger ideas. UFOologist John Keel later described them as demonic supernaturals, while others have suggested they could be interdimensional beings or even a psychological trick of the mind. Whatever the truth, Albert Bender's 1953 encounter is patient zero for the entire Men in Black legend. The story of Albert Bender raises more questions than it answers, and the mystery of the men in black is far from over. And if you find these unsolved cases as fascinating as I do, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next dive into the unknown. After his book, Albert Bender left the UFO world behind for good. He founded the Max Steiner Music Society in 1965 and passed away in 2016 at the age of 94. And the house where it all happened is gone now. All that's left is his story. A story that's echoed through pop culture for over 70 years, inspiring books, TV shows, and a blockbuster film franchise. So what really happened in that attic? Was Bender silenced by federal agents, or was he visited by otherworldly beings who showed him a terrifying cosmic truth? And the man at the center of the mystery is gone, and we're left only with his silence and the chilling legend it created. What do you believe? Well, let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching as always.